What's up, everyone? What's happening, Dean? So I just got back from New York. I was up there for some meetings. I was meeting with some people at publishing companies about this copyright stuff that we've been going through, all of us YouTubers. So hopefully I'll have something good to report here in the next few weeks. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Nobody wants to take the blame for anything. It's pretty funny, actually. They're always like, oh yeah, Google. Oh, they don't have their thing together. Google. Oh yeah, it's definitely the publishing companies. Publishing companies. Oh, it's the labels. Anyways, today's live stream, as I love to do, discount code for anything in my store, the BEATO book, RB251. You know, like 251, like 251. Sorry for the autofocus there. I'll look at the thing there. There we go. So, the title of today's video, I want to get right to it, is the best advice my first teacher gave me. And his name was Glenn, and Glenn Cummings. He's a great guitar teacher. Funny thing was, he was a left-hander that could play guitar both. He could take my guitar and flip it over and play it with the strings upside down, or he could play it with as a left-handed guitar player. But what was great about having a left-handed guitar teacher is that the guitar necks would go the same way, so it was really easy to watch him play. And Glenn, the first thing he taught me in the first lesson were he called them the 5 positions of the major scale. So he took G major, and he didn't talk about modes. He talked about these 5 positions. So you're going, this would really be A Dorian, but he didn't call it that. He just called it position 2. And he would grab all those available notes, so you go up to here. This is all G major, then here, and then up here. Those are the 5 positions. So off G, A, B, he'd skip C. That would be C leading, because his idea was, look, all these notes are contained here. Then you go to D, then you go to E. Well, what is that? It's actually a G major pentatonic, so he was teaching me 2 different things at the same time. But what he said was, right off the bat, the first thing he taught me to do was to play my scale in thirds, okay? So that's in thirds. You go from the first note to the third, second, fourth. Okay? And he said, don't get caught up in scale position fingerings. What you want to do is you want to break apart the scales, because once you get caught up in playing things linearly, meaning in scale positions and just where you're just running up and down scales, then that's the way you end up playing. So you want to be able to play things where you're breaking them, where you want to play intervals, intervallically. And that's what he talked to me about. I was like, intervallically? What's that mean? He goes, using interval jumps in your scales. So right there, if I play a line like that, those are still all the notes in this verse. G major position. You guys see me play those kind of things. If you follow me on Instagram, which you should, which is at RickBeato1, I just did this thing that where I was improvising just in E Dorian the other day. And for those of you Beato Club members, I'm going to put it up in the Beato Club, the PDF of it. But I was coming down an E minor pentatonic, or E minor 7 arpeggio here. In this position. And then I did something. And once again, this is the same kind of thing. All the same notes of G major. I was actually coming on E Dorian, so E Dorian would be D major. And I played a line like that, so. You guys hear me play lines like that. Why do I do that? Because it's way more interesting. I loved players like Eric Johnson. I love players like Alan Holdsworth. And intervallic playing, breaking, not just sticking to the straight scale, is far more interesting and will yield far better melodic lines and just be more interesting to the listener, right? So if you take a lick like this, let's say I take like this, and I say, well, what else can you do with that besides running down the scale? That's just going down the scale one note at a time. What if you did something like this? So what I did, I took the same pattern. So I'm in this D major scale here. I could play a line like that. That's a 4-phrase idea. The first one goes down, but I'm going jumping up a major 7 and then to a 6th. Then I'm going, this is doing a whole step and going up a major 6th, right? Then I went. So I'm using whole step and I'm going up from F sharp to D, and there's a major 7th interval. So I'm actually using a lot of different combinations of intervals, but the beginning part of each line is either a half step or a whole step, depending on where it falls in this D major scale. So then I went up to this string and to me, those kind of lines are way, way more interesting. If you take the G major scale, you do the same thing. So there's all these intervals. I'm always looking for places to jump where it's not all linear. Now, linear playing is important, you know. Sometimes you want to just rip up and down a scale like that, right? But when you do that, those kind of things that are really easy to play end up becoming really boring to listen to. So now, one of the things about intervallic playing that's tricky is all this string skipping is thanks Tim Mahalik, appreciate that. The string skipping is hard to pull off, okay? And I don't mean pull off by pulling off. I mean pulling off because you're actually skipping strings. So if I'm playing 6th intervals, sometimes what you want to do is a little hybrid picking. So what I did here, or I'll do it in G major. So I'm playing the G major scale in 6, going from the first note to the 6th, second to the 7th. But this finger, my middle finger, is doing the hybrid picking, so. It's a lot easier than going. Because once you're doing these, if you go down, then you have to grab it on the upstroke. Right? Harder to do. Far easier. Now, you can also do things when you're doing interval jumps where you don't play the note, okay? You hear people like Pat Metheny do this. Where you're actually Like right there, I'm not even going to pick these. These things, I'm hardly picking. Watch my right hand. So, what you do is you get that. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, TG. Really appreciate that. What you do is you have to get some finger speed going where you can actually finger those notes with enough velocity that it just frets the note. Right. But to play it clean, it's hard. A lot of those notes I'm not even picking. You'd play in through. Oh, thank you, Millie. You throw in some chromatic stuff. Like that. So in order to get your fingers to go fast enough, though, you really need to. You don't necessarily need to have low action on it. You just have to have that finger. Yeah, just have to have that finger velocity like that. And I'll do, Here, Eddie Van Halen would do a lot of stuff like that, which would be, So right there, I'm hardly even picking any notes. Hard to do, right? But it's, what was I playing? Or, if you're getting into these more lines like I like to play, like those kind of lines, once again, require a lot of hammer-ons. Those are really hard to play right there, right? Really, really tough. All that stuff. So that all this kind of interval stuff and figuring out how to play it. There's not really one particular way to learn it. Okay, you can hybrid pick it, you can alternate pick it, you can hammer on notes from the air. You can, I'm not I'm not a person that says you have to do things one way, okay? Because a lot of the things I'm doing, I'm combining techniques. When I'm playing like that ninth arpeggio, so if I'm thinking of a chord like A7, right? So I'm playing a... So I'm thinking of this A alter dominant scale. But I'm playing. I'm skipping strings. And I'm putting in all these different arpeggios there, right? So, what I'd play? I'm not even using any chromatic notes in any of this here. But once again, taking these scale fingerings, breaking them apart, and trying to come up with ideas that that are not scalar. Okay, you can play scalar lines; they're totally cool. Even when I'm playing a scalar line, like I played. Well, I skipped a note in the scale there. Thank you, Richard. I skipped a note in the scale. Oh, I wanted to bring up something. So talking about this Rush, the Rush and Soundgarden videos that I did. Thank you, everybody, for watching those. I'd realized something. I talked about it just for a second in the Rush video, but it made me realize when I was learning that how many different chord forms I learned from Alex Lifeson's guitar playing. This sus2 chord here, totally got that from Alex Lifeson. B sus4, totally got that from Alex Lifeson. This E power chord like this, I've been playing that forever, and that's totally from Alex Lifeson. All these kind of voicings like that with the open strings, so many of those I got from learning Rush songs when I was a kid. Even when he's playing, he plays a lot of arpeggiated lines. And you know, it's interesting because I don't know any other guitar players that played the same kind of chord voicings as he did. They were really, really unique, and he is one of the most underrated. It's funny. I watched an interview yesterday where John Petrucci was interviewing Geddy Lee, and Geddy talked about how he feels that Alex is really underrated, and I totally agree. Alex's chord, not only his solo line playing, but his chord vocabulary was incredibly underrated and was influential to people of my era that liked Rush. You know, when I heard A Farewell to Kings, when I heard Xanadu on the radio, the first thing that caught my attention when it first came out, when he... Those kind of lines, like I was like, what is that? I've never heard those chords before. You know, John Denver played that chord in The Eagle and the Hawk, but I never heard that. I was like, yes, love that. And there's one other thing that I took out of the video that I wanted to say in here, and then I'm going to be done here. Oh, RB251 is discount code, 20% off, and everybody that this is how my channel operates, basically, is off buying mugs, t-shirts, and the Beato book. I mean, the demonetizations are so off the charts now. 3/4 of my videos are demonetized. So there's really no money. You can't make any money with videos on YouTube, unfortunately. But it's still the greatest space that there is. And I appreciate you guys coming here. But I lost my train of thought here. The one thing I took out of the video was there was a guy named Dave Sestito that I used this chorus pedal during the video that I didn't show, and his company's called DRS Effects, and he has a great chorus pedal, and he had a band called Rheostat, and when I was 16, I was walking down my I told this on a live stream on Instagram maybe last week. I was walking down the street when I was 16, and I heard 2112 being played, and I was standing outside this bar, and it was in the upstairs. There was a band rehearsing, so I walked up the stairs. I knocked on the door when they stopped playing, and I came in, introduced myself. It was a 3-piece band, and this guy Dave was the guitar player. They were a high school band, a couple years older than me, and they did Rush unbelievably well. I'd never heard a band play Rush like that, and Dave played Alex's parts perfectly. And I used to go see them play all the time in their practice space. So they would play all of 2112. I mean, you figure this is the mid-'70s. Farewell to Kings wasn't even out, I think. This is... it might have been right when Farewell to Kings came out, but they were playing all early Rush songs. They played other stuff. They played UFO and things like that, but this guy Dave, and now he builds pedals, and Alex Lifeson was on his website, uses one of his pedals, which I thought was really, a couple of his pedals. So anyways, I actually took that out of the video. I didn't think people would be interested in it, but I thought that... I wanted to mention it on here and give Dave a shout out. So I love his chorus pedal, and I've got a distortion pedal, and he's a great guy. And anyway, so that's all. That's all for now. Please subscribe here. Follow me on Instagram. I'm posting more stuff on Instagram now. So it's at RickBeato1. I just hit 50,000 followers. I'm trying to get up to 100,000 followers on Instagram. And if you guys will follow me, I can get there. Jacob just asked, when did I get the Kiesel guitar? Kiesel made me a guitar about 5 months ago or so, after I ran into the artist rep at the Summer NAMM in Nashville. So it was last year, actually, and they made me this guitar, and I love this guitar. I haven't played it that much, and I just started playing it more. I've been kind of going back and forth between this and my PRS 594, and this is a fantastic guitar. It's also one of my only guitars with a whammy on it, too. My Strat that I just got, I broke my E string on. I got to change that. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. RB251. Get anything in my store. If you want to support the channel, that's how you do it. That's how I can keep making videos for here. You guys are all the best. Thank you so much. We'll talk.